Okay, our agenda for tonight looks like this. Let me get to slideshow view for folks. We are going to get into the nitty-gritty of what the diploma is exactly. For those senior parents in the audience, that will be a good time to zoom in on like what exactly happens at the end of the senior year and how how does a student actually get their diploma at the end of this year. We will then look at what the diploma looks like at Great River School and look at some of the unique supports we offer, so you have that background. Thirdly, we will do some notes on wellness and hear from alums about their IB diploma journey and how they view it now that they've been out of the Great River School nest for a bit. And then I'll stick around at the end for any questions. I will also be watching the question and answer section of the Zoom webinar if you want to throw a question into there. So the nitty-gritty of what exactly is my student doing in the diploma program for over 2 years. I first want to say that the IB is similar to like more common things in the US, like advanced placement AP, but less common in the United States, very popular globally. One of the reasons we chose it for Great River School is because the IB mission is centered in world peace, and it fits very naturally with the Great River School mission. So I would just like to put the IB mission into space right now. The IB aims to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. That mission we open every diploma advisory with, and I think it most hits me when we celebrate the senior diploma students at the end of every year. I think like last year's seniors was a big group of 20, and I was up there celebrating them thinking like it's not about, they did some amazing things academically, but when you look at their development as people from 10th through 12th grade, they just brought so much to our community already as young, vibrant humans who had a lot of strengths in creating a better and more peaceful world. So that's what we hope in their development. Some kind of compare contrast of how the IB is similar and or different than AP. Hopefully, as you talk to your students about their IB courses, they talk about the fact that their journey is over 2 years. And so they're sitting in IB literature and IB math and IB global politics and the rest of their IB courses and really getting to know their guides and going very in depth in the curriculum. So that's one big difference between AP and IB. AP is usually designed to be 1-year courses that are more surface level, where the IB goes very in depth in the 2 years. Another big difference between AP and IB is the exams. AP exams tend to be multiple choice, and the IB being a program that values in-depth thinking and analysis has the majority of the time the IB exams are open-ended and analytical and not at all multiple choice. So that's more of a like detail-oriented thing about what both programs are looking for at the end of a student's journey. I also hope that your students talk about, especially at our Montessori school, IB courses being designed to allow students choice in projects that they pursue within courses. The inquiry approach of asking big questions and doing seminars or independent research or working in a science lab to get to a point where they understand content better. I also want to be clear that the IB is currently doing work just like the AP is in trying to be more anti-racist and trying to bring wider perspectives into especially their approach to looking at history and their approach of like, what do we value in the arts and mathematics? So here is your student's journey in terms of their day-to-day or their week. They have a very rigorous schedule. They are programmed into 7 IB all 7 of which are difficult and hard and have their ups and downs in terms of heavy times versus light times, or like what the different pulse of the classes. You'll hear or see on a transcript the acronym HL and the acronym SL, and those highlight a student's higher level courses and standard level courses. Higher level courses that we offer include like global politics we offer at the higher level, literature we offer at the higher level. Some students are taking science or math at the higher level. Their elective, art, music, or theater is usually at the higher level. Higher level just means the IB gives us a bit more time to cover that syllabus, and a bit more is expected of the students compared to their standard level courses. They also are in a course called TOK. You'll probably hear that acronym a lot in the next 2 years if you're a junior family, and that stands for Theory of Knowledge. And that is a IB diploma course, again, taken by diploma students around the world. That is a philosophy, like how do we know what we know course. We have the TOK, Theory of Knowledge exhibition, coming up in December this year that the juniors will present at. And that would be an awesome way for you to learn and see more. They become curators of 3 objects and like really go into depth about analyzing 3 seemingly normal objects and questioning assumptions and tying it to big thinking philosophy themes. So it's a course that I wish I could have taken in high school. It seems pretty cool, and they definitely nerd out in it, which is pretty fun. Senior families, congratulations. Your seniors have finished the big extended essay. Junior families, they will do that this spring. And what that is they get to research anything their heart desires that they're really passionate about and want to go deep on. And they end up producing around a 4,000 word essay that gets sent into the IB as part of their diploma portfolio. Creativity, activity, and service is something that every Great River School student does in 11th and 12th grade, but your students all have some extra requirements as diploma students. And again, we send in these CAS portfolios at the end of their senior year to IB as part of their diploma portfolio. And those extra requirements are not big deals. It's 3 informal interviews with Mari and I to make sure the students feels on track and is getting their questions answered around the experiences that they have that are creative, active, and or service oriented, and making sure that those are documented appropriately. You also will notice that your student does not have room in their 2 years for electives that are not IB. So you won't see like non-IB chemistry, non-IB physics, behavioral finance, ceramics. They're just not an option because diploma students have a very full plate with their 7 rigorous IB courses. Senior parents, here's where you might not have leaned in last year and you might want to lean in this year. This is how a student actually earns the IB diploma at the end of their 2 years. So they're going to complete official IB assessments, both in their classes and they're going to sit down and take their May exam in each of the 6 subjects. And then for Theory of Knowledge, the 7th subject, will send in the official essay and their official exhibition. We register for all 6 subjects. Those cost $119 each. And I want to be transparent on that cost, but I also want to say that we work every year with 12th grade families to make sure that that is not a barrier to access. And what that means is we offer all families a 50% discount if they want to opt into that. We also work with families to waive those fees if a student needs to access full scholarship. And that is often on a case-by-case basis. And our business coordinator, who is now Holly Bell, will work closely with families to ensure that cost is not a barrier. So they'll register for those 6 exams. We'll get them all set up. Each of those subjects, they'll take the exams, we'll send in their projects, and the IB, so not Great River, but the IB will score all of them. So score all 6, and they'll decide, is this student a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, 5, 6, 7. We're aiming for the students to get an average of a 4 in all 6 of their subjects, because if we multiply that, we get to that highlighted goal. We want the all of our students to get at least 24 points from the IB. Theory of knowledge and EE, the extended essay, are awarded as bonus points, and those combined are 0 to 3 bonus points that can help towards the 24 total points. Just to give you some perspective, in the last 5 years, if we go into the historical data, I would say if we take all of the candidates in the last 5 years, we're hovering right at 90% success rate for students who have earned their diploma after their 2-year journey. Some like little detail things. Let's say a student has 24 points, but in global politics, HL, they got a 3. In math HL, they got a 3. And in literature HL, they got a 3. But the rest of the subjects, their standard level courses, they did awesome. Unfortunately, and this happened this last year, they wouldn't get the diploma because there is a little catch that the minimum high level points, so in the 3 HL classes, has to be at least 12 points. So a little detail thing to note. The HL points are important and play a role. I am going to take a quick look at the chat and pause and see if there's any senior families that have a question on the end of the journey. Okay, I'm not seeing any. The diploma journey is long. It's a long 2 years. So in order to sometimes be able to take a deep breath and remember, like, really it's about the journey and what do we know about the benefits of the 2-year journey of the diploma. We consistently hear from the students who earned their diploma and those who didn't, that they feel so much better their first year of college compared to their non-diploma peers, and just being ready with big academic muscles to tackle the professors are asking for them. So feeling ready for college, I think that also goes into like the whole person and not just academic rigor of knowing how to take care of oneself when academics are rigorous, and how to balance academic self and staying well mentally, physically, emotionally. When Melanie, the former diploma coordinator, and me ask alums, well, like, why not just wait for college and do something hard in the beginning year of college? They often point to, I'm glad I did it when I had a strong support network that I knew around me. So the benefit of being at a small school like Great River, where you really know your guides, like I taught a lot of them in 10th grade and know them really well. And now I'm supporting them in 11th and 12th grade. That small, strong support system of guides made the journey well worth it in terms of doing it at Great River versus later on in college. If you want to go read some research for your bedtime reading, I know, very light bedtime reading, here are 3 things that research tells us are a benefit of the diploma program. Number 1, diploma program students experience more motivation and are often more engaged than their non-IB peers. Again, this is nationally researched and globally researched. It opens or keeps doors wider for college access. And like we talked about, research also supports that students are more college ready if they've gone through the diploma program. I'll send you this slide deck so you can go into depth and see each of those more in depth if you wish. We don't really focus on test scores, but we know that often families ask because it has some financial implications on how does the diploma program pay off in terms of college credit. And so again, I'll send you the slide deck, and I put 2 links at the bottom that go really in depth in Minnesota private colleges and nationally at getting IB credit at different universities. I will also say it's like very easily Googleable. If you're interested in going to Macalester someday, you can type in IB college credit Macalester, and their resource will pop up that explains what you can get IB credit for. For this presentation, I want to point out the far right, since all of you are diploma families, that there's often colleges that offer bonus credit for students that come in with a diploma. Like I know at Knox, for instance, if a student gets 30 diploma points or more from the IB, they enter Knox as a second year student, a sophomore, and not as a first year. So that's an example you'll want to pay attention to as you're doing your college search. If you're curious on how admissions views the IB diploma, I have a link here from an admissions counselor at Stanford that I think it's like a 3-minute video that you're happy to you can dig into at your convenience. Oops, I think I did that last year too. Not opening it tonight though. Some support systems at IB. I'm really proud of our IB program. I think we're a very unique IB program in terms of the supports that our school values and sets time aside for and protects. At Great River, we're, from what I know, the only school in Minnesota where we're not a school within the school. So your diploma students are in classes with all of their 11th and 12th grade peers versus becoming like a group of students that always travels together. I think that's super cool because they hear very diverse voices in terms of life experiences and perspectives and like ways of being a teenager. As you know, we don't have admissions requirements to the IB diploma program. I'm able to provide intervention along the journey via one-on-one conversations, especially during our independent work blocks, which are unique at Great River. And then just so you know, I'm meeting with them 2 times per month to just do group check-ins of like, is there a pileup of deadlines we need to sort through? Is there something you're not feeling a great amount of support on? Do you need to have a one-on-one conversation with guides? And at those twice a month meetings, I also do a technology, they do a Google survey and just give me a quick pulse check on their stress level, their focus level, their nutrition, their amount of sleep. So I can help them identify some mental health concerns and get them connected to the right folks. I promise you, sometime in your student's journey, they are going to come to you and say, I'm done. I'm quitting the diploma. No more. I just cannot do this anymore. And I want to say that we had 20 diploma graduates last year that finished the IB diploma. And I cannot think of one of them who did not hit that point. And all of them were smiling at the end and celebrating. And like, if you ask, was it worth it? They're like, I don't know yet. I can tell you it was really hard. I can tell you I'm smiling now because it's over. Like, I don't know. And for me, it's like very similar to cheering on someone in a marathon, or like for me, I was a former 400 runner trying to sprint a whole lap around a track. And you hit a wall as an athlete, or like you see someone hit a wall if you're cheering them on in the marathon. And you're not quite sure, as like for me, watching my husband complete the marathon and like not him breaking down and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. You're not quite sure like what's best. And so here's what we do at Great River to come alongside that student and cheer them on and like help them find the correct path for them. We bring the whole team of their cheers to the table. That means me, you folks as caregivers, any IB support staff they want there, like Teresa, our director of college access, or Seth, our social worker. And we make sure to like listen to what is going well and where they're hitting a wall and struggling. And then we collaborate with them on a path forward. Oftentimes that means putting some more supports or strategies in place. And some of the time it means, yeah, this doesn't make sense for you right now. Um, so that's our common answer to the junior who asked at the beginning, what if I change my mind? We asked them to like try it out and do their best. And we're going to be their cheerleaders and we're going to be their supporters when they hit that IB diploma wall, which is inevitable. Some things they're hearing from us around wellness and balance. The diploma journey is hard, but like I said, the most beautiful thing is the creation of humans who are able to develop in these 10 areas and recognize their common humanity and shared guardianship of the planet, help to create a better and more peaceful world. And so what are some of the messages they're hearing from us when things get really hard in terms of academic rigor? Our director of college access, Teresa, talks to our students about, especially in the diploma, about paying attention to who they surround themselves with and holding each other accountable for promoting wellness in a social group. You might imagine that it's very easy for teenagers to feed off of each other's stress. And so she often phrases it as like, surround yourself in the IB diploma with people who can be deep breathers with you, and try to avoid surrounding yourself by people who are going to stress you out because of their stress. Easier said than done, but that's one of her main points. And she also encourages students to disconnect and make sure they find joy in laughter and find joy in food and make sure they stay hydrated. Our social worker, Seth, talks to students diploma a lot about perfectionism, and specifically the really hard lesson we hope diploma students pick up, because we hear it back from alum coming back and saying, one skill I'm really happy I learned in the IB diploma program at Great River was to not always do my best work. And so that is, again, easier said than done as a lesson. But in terms of like finding rhythm, the IB diploma is not going to be sustainable if a student is always turning in their best work and trying to aim for perfection in every assignment. And so when they're noticing themselves having that tendency, or they're overwhelmed by the task because they feel like the end product has to be perfect, communicating often and early with the guides giving them those assignments so they can manage expectations and set a plan forward. Don't get stuck, get inspired is a common phrase with our diploma students. And then lastly, post-pandemic, I don't know if you're seeing this on your end, but we're seeing an increase of high-performing students that have a trend of avoidance, like avoiding tasks because they feel so big. And so when we hit those kind of waves of like, we're noticing a lot of students with this, Teresa talks to them about like, the research says if you avoid and kind of spiral in this avoidance and like are thinking about the task but not actually doing it, you actually spend way more time on the task than if you just sit down and do it. So what's an actual skill when we're feeling like overwhelmed by a task and can't get ourselves to start it? Teresa talks about setting a timer. So like, this IB Global Politics paper that I really don't want to write, and like I've been avoiding it because I feel like it's going to take 5 hours. Just setting a 45-minute timer and saying, I'm going to focus on this paper and get as much done in this 45 minutes. But as soon as that buzzer goes off, I'm going to take a big break or leave it for a different day. And I think students often surprise themselves with how much they get done when they set a timer, and how like protected their time feels in that they know they only have to sit down and do it during the 45 minutes, and then there's an endpoint in sight. One of my favorite strategies that last year's seniors shared was an app that grew a plant the longer that you didn't touch your phone. I don't remember what it's called. I'm sure one of the alums at our panel will. But it sounded super cute, and they said it worked. So that's another strategy. And then lastly, one of our seniors said that something that really worked for her was doing transition time. So like saying, okay, I'm going to start IB Global Politics after I have a snack in the kitchen. So let me just like take a transition, let me go have my snack and enjoy it. And now let me transition to the space where I know I'm going to get into flow. And then something I would ask for caregivers to really support is asking when you hear about these big assignments, like, how can we celebrate you at the end? So maybe that celebration as a family looks like having their favorite dessert at the end of their science IA being turned in, or getting to go to a concert, or getting to hang out with friends. Putting those celebration dates on the calendar, I think, can be a really good thing, because students have something to look forward to after the deadline and getting it done. One thing that our social emotional learning guru, Salaha, talked to me about last year when we were designing this presentation was, especially at Great River as a Montessori school who grants teenagers a lot of freedom, that she encouraged me to say out loud, like, teenagers still benefit from boundaries. And she's like, for example, screen time, when they are structured around health and wellness. So I'm asking you to hear that as caregivers. Like, that was, I needed to hear that too. Like, oh yeah, like we are granting a lot of freedom to our teenagers, but they still need us to support their health and wellness. And they don't quite have that figured out yet, because their brains and bodies are still growing and changing. And they're still learning a lot. And like, even I have a hard time with screen time and need my partner to sometimes support me on this. And so something to think about as you start your academic year. And I think that would be a good conversation to have as a family. She also encouraged me to give you all the conversation starters we have with our IB diploma students at advisories. And so these are some questions that are open-ended that we feel like have led to good conversations where we can better support our students. Is there anything you're feeling stuck on? Is there anything we can do to support you getting unstuck? Are there any guides or adults that might be helpful to check in with one-on-one this week? And what might we do to celebrate you? What might feel good to do after submitting X, Y, or Z? I'm going to check the question and answer one more time. And then our last event of the evening is bringing back some alums from their university to just chat, like, how are they seeing their experience now that they have been out of the Great River School nest for a bit. So I'm gonna watch the question and answer, but I'm also promoting some folks to panelists. So we got Elsie, we have Finetti, Elsie, Finetti. I don't know if you can turn your camera on, but I would love for you to try if you can. And Ari, I just promoted you too. No video yet? Okay. Oh, there we go. Hi, Elsie. Hi, Finetti. Hi, Ari. I'm gonna watch the Q&A if I missed anyone. So first of all, I know all three of you are really busy at university, and so I don't want to take a lot of your time, but I do think it's important for the community of parents who are like going through it to hear from you now that you've been away from Great River a bit and have some perspective. Sneddy, I think I'll start with you. Can you first tell us where you are in the world? And then can you share a bit about, like, did your diploma journey at Great River go super smoothly? Was it really hard? And what is one way you see it as like relevant to your current life?
Okay. Hi, my name is Beneti. I am currently at Brown University in Rhode Island. In terms of IB, I would say it was really hard and it taught me a lot about myself, both academically and just like mentally, how much I could handle. Um, it definitely teaches you how to push your limits and kind of figure out how far you can go to an extent where it's also challenging but also healthy for your brain to grow. I think at the end of the day that at the end of the day you still need to challenge your brain in order to grow. So I feel like the IB diploma definitely helps you have the space to learn how to do that. And it also, as Lindsay was saying earlier, you also have the ability to form bonds with people that you have a really good support system there as well. So like no matter what, no matter how hard you might be struggling, you also have people to lean back on and also find support. So I think that's also another thing I've appreciated a lot. Do you want me to speak about how IB has influenced my college experience or just what I've said so far?
Sure. Yeah. Uh, can you think of like you're in your second year at Brown, right?
Mhm.
And so, um, how did it, to what extent did it carry you? Or like, what do you notice now that you've been away?
I think there's two different aspects. So like academically, I think um I'm more sure in my decisions that I make in terms of if a professor like gives an assignment out, I feel like IB has helped me create like a good thought process in terms of how I'm going to execute a certain assignment and that just my mind can flexibly work around that really really easily. And I think socially and like mentally I've learned the ability to contact my professors more. There's when you go to college a lot of times like students they're like there's office hours and you always have to email your professors and stay in contact, but a lot of students don't do that. But I think being at Great River and having like hard time with IB, like Lindsay and Teresa and everybody that was there, they were always advocating and reaching out to your teachers and making sure that like the teachers know what you're going through in order to reflect that in your work. So me going through my first year at Brown, it was really hard academically, but at the same time, I mean that it's a given fact, but at the same time I was able to um implement that skill of communication and talk, contact my professors, go to office hours and be able to talk out my struggles and stuff like that. And then eventually everything ended up well in the end.
Appreciate that, Finity, because I
Lindsay, you froze up.
relatively easy time academic. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Testing. Okay. Let me know if I freeze up again, but I think it will help to go off video. I think oftentimes at Great River School, the students who do the diploma have had a relatively easy time until 11th grade. And so they're not used to having to ask for help. And so the diploma, because it is so hard and because there's always that breaking point, I think one of the formative experiences is learning to ask for help at Great River and creates that model of being more confident approaching professors and their office hours and asking for what you need when you get to university. Over to Ari and Elsie. Ari and Elsie, you've had a bit less time at university. I think both of you kind of just moved in and you're in your first month. Have you met any other diploma folks that you've like realized they did the diploma program somewhere else in the world or country? And is there any, I think I'll ask you both, is there any advice that you would give families and caregivers starting out this journey with their 11th grader or 12th grader? So, Ari, you're nodding your head yes. Are you okay going first, or do you want to pass it to Elsie to go first?
Yeah, I can go. Um, the
And can you tell us where you
can I say what?
can you tell us where you are in the world?
Oh, yeah, I'm in Canada. I'm in Montreal at McGill University, um, and I've definitely met other people who did the IB here. Um, it I don't know how like important it was as a conversation point, just like, like a curiosity, right? Like, oh wow, wait, I didn't expect you to have done the same classes too. Um, I don't think it was like, you know, a like friendship starting point in any situations really. Um, but it has been vaguely interesting to see. Uh, Advice wise, I think the thing that I was like, at least personally, the thing that I was least aware of and would have liked to have been thinking about earlier is what Lindsay was just talking about before the panelists started. Um, re Which universities like give what sort of credit. Um, like I had a medium-sized list of universities to apply to leaving Caregiver. And out of all of those, I think McGill, which is the one that I'm at right now, is the only one that like really liked the IB diploma and rewarded it highly. Um, like here, they were like, oh, you did well enough on your HL classes. We'll give you enough credits to skip an entire year. And I was like, whoa, thanks, Miguel. Um, but all of the other schools were like, you can have a little bit of credit. Don't get too hasty now. We don't, it's fine. Um, so I would, and the problem is like when you're starting the Ivy diploma, it's really hard to know what sort of college you'll end up at or what you want to do. Like I did not expect that I would be at McGill after graduating. I expected to be at one of those smaller liberal arts schools that wouldn't have treated the IB that well. So it's kind of a paradox. But I would definitely suggest like being aware, keeping in your mind like both your college plans and your IB plans at the same time. And as both of them start to become more real and crystallized for you, to like see how they match up with each other, and make sure that it's in a way that you want.
Perfect. Thanks, Ari. Over to Elsie. Elsie, can you share where you are in the world and any advice you would offer to families beginning their IB diploma journey?
My name is Elsie. I use she, her pronouns, and I am at Carleton College in Northfield. I've moved in like a week ago, so I'm very new to it still. I haven't been away from Great River that long. But some things that I think are really important in the IB journey is like the skills that you're learning along the way. So one thing that's really hit me like face first right away at college is like we have a lot of projects of us, especially since I'm at a liberal arts school where you have to choose your own topic. And so working on building the skills, and this is another thing we encounter a lot in IB with the extended essay and the different internal assessments that you have, is working on being decisive and being able to choose your own topics and be able to work with an open-ended prompt or an open-ended homework or test assignment. And that's something that's really important to work on and to support your student with, as well as thinking about the ways that like you are able to connect different areas of study with each other. And so just encouraging that in your student. And also, I think another thing that was important to me in my IB journey was discovering kind of how I learn best so then I can take those skills with me when I'm less supported here. So like I learned that I'm very much a verbal processor. I like to talk things out, like talk through all my options, make really long lists, use whiteboards, be able to visually and verbally manipulate my ideas. So figuring out my different ways of processing and how I'm able to kind of interpret and understand complex situations and assignments was another really important thing that I think is critical to support your student with.
Thanks to you three. So I heard the important aspect of learning to ask for help. I heard Ari talk a lot about like as you go through your 2 years, paying attention to how is the IB potential college credit gonna pay off, and actually do I want to look maybe at a different college or consider a different IB path based on where I'm leaning. And I heard Elsie we talk about the formative development of like picking your own projects and learning to be decisive. Is there anything else that we missed? And I do want to respect time that you think is important to just share with caregivers as they begin their journey with their students?
I think
I would
oh,
No, go
Let's
ahead.
go Benetti and then Elsie, and then we'll end with Ari.
Okay. I would say keep tabs on your student, but not in a way that's gonna irritate them. Just like give them their space and time. Kind of make sure that they know that you're there as a support system as well. I think one thing that I appreciated a lot was not only having a support system at school, but also having one at home. I think was the main one. It was hard at first. My parents didn't really understand the concept of IB and how hard it was until I sat down and I communicated with them. I was like, this is actually very, very hard. And it's not just like it takes a toll on not only academics, but like literally like your entire life. So I think that once they understood that, they understood from a distance that it was good to kind of keep tabs on me, make sure I was okay, make sure I'm taking care of myself. Because at the end of the day, like as I make it sound bad, but IB does kind of get to you, especially when it's like your first year. Junior year is always the hardest, like the first year getting used to all the projects and all the classes. So definitely keep tabs on your student. Just kind of check in with them. Just make sure that they understood that you're there for them.
Over to
yeah,
Elsie.
completely agree. Providing accountability, but also like just being very aware and providing a lot of grace, right? Like this is a really hard process. This can be stressful, and there will be lots and lots of times where like your student will make mistakes. They might be a big mistake, they might be a small mistake, but just providing a lot of grace and being able to like learn from that mistake rather than getting hung up on it and then you're just stuck on it and then having that be a roadblock.
And over to Ari.
Yeah, about the like learning things I can use in college. I am just starting, but I am as like the start of the academic year begins, I am noticing that none of my like academic issues have been solved by the IB. It makes me feel very good to have done a hard thing, and I expect that college will be easier, but that doesn't mean that like the like executive dysfunction is gone. And I don't know how much I can say like I think the skills I developed in IB are coming in really useful right now, but I think I would have gotten some semblance of those skills just doing like a normal education at Great River anyway, because I think Great River is pretty good at that. So I just want to like encourage everybody like you are not bound to one thing, and you will still develop as a learner no matter what you do at Great River.
I miss you three so much. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm giving you snaps, and I know our audience is giving you snaps too, even though I'm not on video now because of my internet. But do stay in touch, and major, major gratitude for sharing your ideas and thoughts tonight, Ari, Elsie, and Finity. And hopefully we'll see you soon, and behave yourselves and be good. See you soon. Parents in the audience, I have watched the Q&A, and I will stay on if there's folks that want to stay back and ask questions. But that does conclude our IB Caregiver Night for tonight. If you need to find me because you have a question, I am easily accessible via email. And again, my name is Lindsey Weaver, and my Great River email starts with lweaver@greatriverschool.org. Thanks so much, everyone. And I'll look forward to being a team throughout your last year in diploma or the 2 years for 11th grade families.